I'm here with Christian, and now Christian's normally a very positive person. He's very fulsome in his praise for the manager and the team, but I suspect that today it's not going to be as effusive as you normally are. I mean, let's cut to the chase. 1-1 at Brighton, 2 points dropped. Our title chance is severely dented. What do you say?
Severely dented, whatever you want to call it, it's done. Title's gone, man. Like you say, I try and be positive. I try and back this team, back this manager. I love Mikel Arteta for what he's done for this club. Essentially, at the end of the day, there's going to come a point where we're not doing good enough that questions might have to be asked. And if that point is today, when the title is done and it's 5 years without a major, if you want to call FA Cup a major, then you call that a major, but it's not. A major is a Champions League or a Premier League. Then maybe there comes a day. I was stressed watching that today, Laurie. Like, you've seen me watch games before. I can usually handle it. I was stressed today. Yeah. I nearly went and bought a packet of cigarettes after the game because I was stressed. I don't even smoke. That's how I felt watching that team today. There were so many players on that pitch that just weren't at it today. And why?
Well, this is it, because I was saying to a couple of the other guys who I interviewed before you, I just didn't see this performance coming. I was hyped about the performance against Brentford. I was down in Wales. I watched it with quite a few people, all Arsenal fans. And we were all saying, man, this is what we want to see from Arsenal. You know, we went a goal down as well. And we turned up the volume, we turned up the pressure, we looked good, we scored goals. I'm thinking, yeah, man, going into the Brighton game, we're going to do something. But today it was just flat.
Flat is an understatement. It was.
And that's with us going a goal up.
Yeah. The only shining light in that first half was Nwaneri. Apart from that, there are too many players on that pitch not taking accountability, not stepping up. We've seen this over and over again from Martinelli. We've seen it over and over again from Trossard. Marino in midfield, okay, he has moments, but essentially he's not consistent enough to be in a team which wants to go for a title, which wants to go for majors. And there's just too many players not performing, especially in that attacking line. Yeah. And then, okay, if you want to bring it back to Mikel, you want to bring it back to the manager, I guess you can. I fall back on the fact that last season with this same front line, all right, Saka was in it, but a lot of people say that we don't have a striker that's good enough, we don't have a left winger that's good enough. In a lot of people's minds, we didn't last season. But in the calendar year of 2024, we scored the most goals. So what Mikel manages to get out of a team and an attack that a lot of people say isn't good enough, for me, is incredible. So I find it hard to talk about Mikel Arteta in the way that some people do. I think he's a top coach. I looked Turkish in the eye and said he's a top coach. He looked me in the eye and said, no, he's not. I said, you don't get 89 points in the Premier League without being a top coach. He said, you're not a top coach unless you win majors. You can go back and forth. But at the end of the day, you get to a point as a fan where you want to win things, man. And
absolutely.
Maybe that is without Arteta. And I hate to say it because, like I said, I think he's a top coach. And I think in his career, he'll win things. Whether that's at Arsenal, whether it's not at Arsenal.
I want to pick your brain on Nwaneri because you mentioned it. You alluded to it earlier. I think we've got to talk about it. So he scores a goal, 16th minute, took his goal really well. He looked bright, he looked aggressive. Him and Estefanan were going back and forth, which was it was a good watch. But he gets taken off at half-time to a lot of people's surprise. What do you make of that? I mean, I'm hearing through the grapevine that he may have been injured. I don't know how true that is. I think the manager alluded to it. What's your say on that?
You said to me, is it the right decision on the watch-along? And I said, it's not the right decision, but it's a sensible decision. He's on a yellow card in quite a fast-paced, end-to-end game. If he does anything stupid, the ref is not going to hesitate, especially we know what this bald ref is like. He's not going to hesitate. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Sorry, listen, don't forget about the ball.
What you got against the follically challenge?
So no. We know what this ref is. Sorry, I'm stressed, man. I'm trying to put some words in that I can use. We know what these refs are like. Any excuse they can have, especially when it's Arsenal, to send off Nwaneri, to send off anyone. Look, we've seen Declan Rice get sent off for doing that. We've seen Trossard get sent off for kicking the ball a second after the whistle. For me, I said, yeah, it's a sensible decision to take him off. It wasn't the correct decision in my eyes. If it was an injury, cool, that makes a lot more sense. But it hurt us in the second half. We had no attacking threat in the second half. Martinelli on that right-hand side looked lost. Couldn't beat a man. There was a couple of times where he was in behind. Even when he was in behind in space, the quality of the pass wasn't good enough. If it was Partey, if it was Declan Rice, the quality just was not there.
I'm scratching my head because, like I said, a lot of those guys, against Brentford, they look so good. But today, it's just one of those where they're totally off form. I've got to ask you, another talking point coming out of the game was a penalty that Brighton got. A head clash between Saliba and Pedro. At the time, I must admit, I thought it was a bit harsh. Looking back at it again, there was obviously contact. There was a collision of sorts. Do you think it was a penalty?
If I had to choose, I'd say yeah. On the watch along, I said it's a grey area penalty. It's one of them where if he doesn't give it, I don't think VAR look at it in the studio and wherever they are and say, yeah, overturn that, it's a Stonewall penalty. If he does give it, they don't overturn that and say it's not a penalty. We've seen clashes of heads however many times throughout the Premier League and football era, where since football's been around, clashes of heads happen. If you actually look, Saliba gets a little flick on the ball. But it's a penalty, what can we do? We should not have left ourselves in that game in a position where we have to rely on a 50-50 penalty decision to win or not win the game, to get all 3 points. That game should be dead. We should be coming to Brighton away, who are in their worst run in however long.
Yeah, no wins in 7.
No wins in 7 games for Brighton. They've been in dreadful form. A couple of their best players weren't even... Matoma didn't even start. Danny Welbeck, Evan Ferguson, these guys are injured. You shouldn't be coming to Brighton and then complaining about a decision to try and win a game 1-0. It's not good enough. And questions will have to be asked, whether that's on the manager, whether it's on the players, the ownership. I'm not happy as a fan right now.
Yeah. Right, the transfer window is nigh upon us. A lot of speculation as to Arsenal might get. They're being linked with guys like Cunha and people like that. Where do you stand on the transfer window? Would you like to see us bring anyone in? And if so, realistically, whom?
Of course I'd like to see us bring players in. I would like to see us bring players in that are good enough to take Arsenal to that next level. It's not my job to say who that is. I don't work for Arsenal. I don't work for a Premier League club. If you want my opinion as a fan, go and get Gyökeres. Go and get Isak in the summer. Go and get Nico Williams. Go and get Kudus. Go and get Adeyemi from Dortmund. Go and get some of these players. Go and get someone that's going to get on that pitch week in, week out and show the consistency that Bukayo Saka shows. Show the consistency, all right, he's been off it the last few games, that Martin Odegaard shows, that Declan Rice showed last season. Because there are too many players that don't show that. We only have a couple of players that really show that consistency week in, week out. We lack that.
So what do you, like the lack of consistent form? Do you think some people are suggesting that the players are being overcoached, they're not being allowed to express themselves? Or do you just think that maybe we got to face up to the truth that at the top level, some of them are just not at the required standard? Which one is it?
Whatever the truth is, the reality of the matter is we are now essentially 11 points behind Liverpool. This is Arteta's 5th season. We've been in a title race for 3 years. The title race is gone now. I don't see us winning the Champions League, especially without Saka. Maybe what we do in January here can change that. It's literally Carabao Cup or bust. That's where we've left our season. And like I said, man, I don't like blaming Arteta. But if the recruitment is on him, if it is down to Arteta, which is the reason that we didn't bring in top players in the summer, or top attacking players in the summer, then it's on him. If it's on the ownership that we didn't bring enough in the summer and do enough in the summer, then it's on the ownership. But either way, we're now in a position as fans, again, where we're next season FC, where we're, wait and see what we're going to do. Like, we stick our chests out now as Arsenal fans because we're a good team. We're a very good team. We have a reason to stick our chests out. But it gets to a point, like, how far can you stick it out with, like, without there being something to actually, like, a tangible thing to say, this is what we got for it? Yeah. It's going on too long.
Okay, Christian, thank you very much.